I think there's obviously a real focus in the media and the government on affordability and making housing affordable to all these youngsters growing up. And marrying affordability with sustainability is the challenge. And I think even the Rural Z home, which Bill Dunster's come up with, it's still, the sort of prices. I mean, perhaps you could say something about the price of that and whether that is deemed as affordable by most people.
Looking at it from a construction angle, the value of any home, the lion's share of it's in the property it stands on, the land it's on. Affordable housing, all affordable housing means, and it's very simple but a bit vague at the same time, is below market value. Now, there was a big push for affordable housing, so-called, in the heyday of the sort of 90s and the noughties when house prices were doubling every year, and every newspaper headline that you saw was house prices out of reach of first-time buyers, and people were selling one-bedroom flats in sort of central London for £800,000. Of course, the sort of bottom fell out of the market, and now of course every headline is, oh my God, house prices halved overnight. Shock, horror, what are we all going to do? And my approach is, well, you can't have it both ways, guys. It's either good that house prices are rising or it's bad. The affordable housing sector, predominantly housing associations and local authorities, of course, traditionally built council homes, and they are now starting to do so again, interestingly. Ostensibly, they measure your need for affordable housing. It's a needs-based test, in essence. Now, quite what the metrics are that they use to measure whether you need a house, family A needs a house more than family B, I don't know. I'm no expert in that field. But the housing associations build them. They probably provide 60% of the money for the house. The other 40%, give or take, comes from a grant from government. Now, obviously, housing associations have revenue stream in the rent that's being paid to them, likewise local authorities. And that's their profit, if you like, and that's the money they can pour back into developing new homes. In recent years, it's been very, very difficult for housing associations and local authorities to build new homes because Mr. Barrett and Mr. Wimpey and the large volume house builders could afford to pay astronomical sums of money for a plot of land because they knew full well that they could build homes there and sell them off at a huge profit because house prices were doubling every year, and hey ho, we're all going to get rich doing this. Of course, what has happened in the last couple of years has put pay to that myth. Those days are gone, and as I said earlier, let's hope they're gone forever. And all of a sudden, housing associations are actually in quite a strong position. So, in my space, in particular, at the moment, we're buying plots of land that are being sold to us at less than half than what they were paid for by some of the larger house builders, I should say, because on paper, anyway, they're just not worth what they once were 2 years ago. So it's a good time to be in affordable housing, I guess, is the message there. But affordable housing just means it's less than market rate.
Because I think that's one of the challenges that a lot of the developers, when they take on a development and they've got to put in, say, 10, 15, 20% of affordable housing, effectively they've got to subsidise that through the sales of all the other properties.
That's right.
But presumably, if you're involved in sort of mixed-use developments, does that give some more scope for creating?
Yeah, it does, absolutely. I mean, our strapline is creating communities, and it's quite a good strapline because it is actually what we as an organisation try to do. As far as I'm concerned, there is no point in building a Code 6 house in the middle of Bodmin Moor, 20 miles from the nearest workplace, if family A living in this particular house have got to drive 10 miles to buy a pint of milk, let alone go to work every day or take the kids to school. So again, you have to look at the sustainability agenda, not just in terms of the house type, but where the house is. Mixed-use schemes are very, very good. If give me a piece of land scaled up by 10,000 times the size of this table, I'd like to take half of it for housing. I'd like to take the other half put some retail on it, put some light industrial units on it, maybe put some offices on it, and actually all of a sudden you've got the beginnings of a community. On some of the larger schemes that we're looking at, they're talking about schools and hospitals as well. So that is the sensible approach to urban planning, to design, and that's how you create more sustainable communities. I think we've all seen sort of large-scale developments that haven't necessarily worked, that have left people isolated from city centres. All of a sudden it starts turning into a little bit of a ghetto, the perceptions of the area drop, and then people start behaving the way they're expected to behave in these areas. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it, they're forced to, and we should all take personal responsibility for our behaviour and actions, but there are certain communities, and I grew up in sort of near Tottenham in North London, and you kind of wander around some of the estates there and think, well, if I lived here, I'd probably get kicks by burning cars because there's not a lot else to do. And even just being here makes me want to set fire to something. So I think there is a bit of a change with regards to the approach to affordable housing that in the old days was just build a house, house a family, problem solved. Not today. The better housing associations, the better local authorities are more involved in placemaking, if I can use that slightly overused phrase. Places People are a good case in point, one of the larger sort of housing associations, stroke developers out there. And their chief executive, incredible woman by the name of Zena Atkins, works on the principle that if she wouldn't live there, then Places for People don't build it, which I think is great.
Yeah,
I think that's the way to approach it, and why should the affordable housing sector get away with building substandard things? In fact, the great thing about the affordable housing sector now is that everything we build is better than what you can buy on the private market. Our space standards are higher, the rooms have to be bigger, the sustainability standards are higher, we have to build to code 3 to code 4, the gardens have to be bigger. So we have private house builders coming to us with plots of land saying, here's a plot of land, you can get 50 houses on it. We look at it and go, no, we can't, we get 43. Why? Because guess what? We have to build houses better than you.